Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Javier Mendez podcast. Yeah, we never thought we'd be doing one, but they're showing UFC fights in the middle of the week. Usually it's review the Ultimate Fighter show, but that's not going to happen for a while. A little hard to put on in COVID. You've been through one of those. Did you have to stay on set for the whole thing?
The
Ultimate,
fights?
no, the Ultimate Fighter back in the day. I'm just saying that, that would be the only thing you normally see on a Wednesday. It's kind of rare to have this card on a Wednesday, is what I'm saying.
No, you don't have to stay on set the whole time. I mean, if you want to leave, you leave, but nobody really leaves. Everybody wants to watch the whole fights.
Yeah.
Because usually it's only one fight or it's the finals where you have multiple fights.
But as a coach, when you were coaching on it, you didn't have to stay in the house like the guys. You could just go to your hotel and leave the set,
No,
right?
no, 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 no. None of the coaches. No, no, the coaches didn't go through that kind of torture. No way.
Well, it's kind of hard to put something on like that, especially with COVID. So we're just lucky to see something on a Wednesday, which is cool, which was UFC ESPN 13. And I guess the point, the conversation you and I have been having is we've got a card, middle of the week. It's not a big headliner, but we're seeing that a lot of people that don't have a big name behind them are really putting on great fights. Like they're exciting to watch. Some people get, I'm only going to watch if so and so fights. I'll watch every other eighth card, but you're finding by tuning in, you're really surprised by the new talent coming up, huh? Like what you're seeing.
Well, no, not surprised by the new talent. I'm just enjoying the new talent. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, because listen, the bottom line is this: if you get into the UFC, you're regarded as one of the best of the best. So anybody that's on there is good. So it's just a matter of, do you want to watch that much UFC? There's a lot of UFC fights going on. So watching it, you're gonna find some new talent all the time, guys that are really, really good. And in this particular show, there was quite a few people in there that shined, and some old veterans, not really that old, but veterans that did exceptionally well. It was a fun fight night. It was a really fun fight night. There was a lot of things going on, and there was stupid things by a ref that was breaking them up after they were in clear dominant position. He'd break them up, and Bisping and the other commentators were like, kind of like, what? They're not really downing on the guy, but kind of talking like, what the hell's going on? And apparently that guy must have heard him. The ref must have heard him talking, because then the ref did a right thing, but he was doing some bad reffing, man. It was kind of horrible, watching that go on. And you talk about, if not to go off subject, but this is actually something important that a lot of people don't know, is that when you go into a country that has no sanctioning body that oversees these fights, which I believe they do not, the UFC is the one that brings in their own sanctioning body, and really, they have to be careful that it's not their employees that they're doing. They're hiring somebody else that organizes this thing, but it's not their people. Because if it's their people, oh my God, that would be really bad. But they don't do that. They get other people, and they hire them to do the job. And unfortunately, they hire some people that they shouldn't hire. And Dana goes on and says, what are you going to do? Is the judges and this and that. But yeah, in this particular case, you hired them. But in all fairness, they're not his. They're not
Well,
trained by his staff. They're not done by anything by him. He basically just hires them, but he can't just go and fire them either, because almost everybody that refs these days, and judges, actually, I'm sorry, the refs only on this fight, they screwed up. Not that they don't every fight, but the judging has been in a big conflict as of late. And in this particular case, they were brought on by the UFC personnel. They don't work for the UFC, but they were brought on by them.
yeah, that type of collusion, then it would just be the WWE. I hired Bob, that guy, like that guy. You can imagine that, man. Well, it like some older UFC. I don't know. I don't want to go way off topic, but Pride. Sometimes it seemed like a work. Like it wasn't in the favor. Like they were doing everything to beat this guy. It's like a football game when the ref is they're at the hometown and the ref is part of that hometown and they're calling back your 10-yard runs. Nope, that was offline. Same kind of thing. But
Well, actually, the Japan deals, I've been kind of a little bit familiar with them, and I'm 100% to say they did a lot of shaky things, man. A lot of stuff that you just go, wow, how'd that go through, or how did that get caught? It is what it is. That they do what they do over there, and I don't know what's going on now, but I know in the past, 100%, suspicious things happen all the time over there because there was nobody governing them. They did whatever they wanted, and they did.
Yeah, like, hey, Rampage, come fight on 2 days' notice for the title. By the way, oh, sorry, we can't get food to your room for 18 hours. Whatever, anything, that kind of stuff. But let's go over the card.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff they would do. They would do that. They'd bring you in late.
That's what they would do. They'd have you all confused, discombobulate you.
Just like you are right now.
I'm semi-discombobulated.
You're
hanging
discombobulated. You're like looking over. Let's go on. I go. Why are you interrupting me? It's just slow down.
Okay.
Don't be in no rush. You're like big rush right now. Slow down.
Slow down,
You
Len.
can puff your cigarettes after. Okay. You can 15 minutes at least before you can go outside and smoke.
Oh, don't need any right now. Totally fine.
Yeah, right. Well, wait till 15 minutes come by. We'll see you then.
Let's see, Javi. This guy got I think he got one of the rewards for fight of the night. Lerone Murphy finished Ricardo Ramos. He beat him in a ground and pound. He knocked him out in ground and pound. That was one of the highlight fights that was on the card. I mean, it's lower on the card, but I'm just starting what was interesting, what we talked about earlier. Did you watch that one with Lerone Murphy?
Yeah, I watched that one. It was a very interesting fight, and at the beginning, it looked like he didn't want to go to Murphy. Didn't want to go to the ground. It appeared that way, and the commentators were making comments about it. Probably would be a mistake for him to go to the ground. And as soon as they make that comment, he ends up taking the guy to the ground, and he looked phenomenal, and just ground and pounded him, smashed him. So it's kind of one of those things that we sometimes think we know what we're talking about, but even we experts are armchair quarterbacks. I'm sorry.
Pleasantly surprised.
Hey, if we don't know the fighter, we don't know what we can do. We can just assume things, and they made that mistake, and I do it all the time too. We always make mistakes like that. We're like, oh, he shouldn't do that. All of a sudden, he does it, and he does fantastic, and you're like, oops, and. Yeah, that's what happened there. Lerone Murphy was very impressive. On top position, he was more impressive, believe it or not, than his stand-up, I thought.
Now, let's get to the guy that some people are calling Khabib 2.0. Of course, you have your version of that, but he looked like he's from that kind of area. Khamzat Chimaev took John Phillips down, and it looked like reminiscent of looked like when Khabib would be controlling somebody on the ground. But this guy, like you said, John Phillips didn't appear to have a lot of ground game, and when you're going up against Dagestani wrestling or anything from that region, Chechen, that area, you're going up against somebody who's just going to tie you up in knots once you're down there.
Yeah, he's man, he's very, very impressive. He went out there, and he's from Chechnya, born in Chechnya, and he did most of his training in Chechnya before he moved. I forgot what country he's from now, Finland or something like that. It is not Finland, but it's in one of those cold ass countries, right? But he was extremely
Sweden.
impressive. Sweden. There you go. Yeah, so he's probably with he trains with all those guys from Sweden. What do you call them? The champ, the guy that fought DC and fought Jones, Gustafsson.
Yeah, okay, and Latifi.
Latifi, he's with their camp. He's with their camp.
Right.
And this kid is you're going to hear a lot from him. You're going to hear a lot from him. He's a smart fighter. He fought a wrestler. He's the wrestler striker who fought a basically striker who's not that good on the ground. He's decent, but the guy has got incredible power, incredible KO power, but he had no opportunities to showcase it because, the Chechen fighter just took him down and smashed him, and in very impressive fashion. It wasn't your normal hold you down and then, clinch on you, this and no. He was holding passing positions, nailing him with everything but the kitchen sink. He is extremely impressive. Very, very fun fight to watch.
It's a fun kind of ground game to watch. Now, one of your favorites, I'm going on to it next, is Munir Lazez fought Abdul Razak Hassan, and you were pretty impressed with the way Munir handled his business. Like, That was the one. That was the one that stuck out to you. The first one you brought up to me.
Well, and it wasn't just because of him; it was both of them. The other guy's tough as hell and had sledgehammer for hands, and Munir was able to take whatever he dished out, and come back and stay on course, threw a lot of elbow jabs. I mean, he just threw everything at him, took him down, you name it, he did it, and that was a fun fight, back and forth fight, and very entertaining till the very end, till the very, very end. They both tried to knock each other out. Even at the end, there was no, okay, I'm tired, no, or I won, no. They were like both trying to finish each other. And it was very impressive. Both of them were very impressive. But Munir was, better, and because he had better weapons. He had better weapons. He was able to kick, knee, elbow. He was able to do all that, whereas his opponent was more of a boxer, tough, like wrestler type guy, but not really a wrestler. But he was just tough, just a tough kid, real tough, but just didn't have the overall arsenal that Munir had. It was a real fun fight.
And, you're thinking about a card that isn't name heavy, but you're seeing high quality fights, and that's what this delivered. Like the matchmaker lined it up so good chemistry, good chemistry in the ring to see something explosive, right? And you like?
I don't know about that. As matchmakers match fights, they think, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't think they know how the fight's going to turn out. I've done matchmaking so much in the past that I'm thinking this fight's going to turn out that way. It turns out to be a dud. I mean, it's like it's just luck of the draw a lot of the times, and happens all the time. I used to do it all the time. I'd matchmake, and I would tell the promoter, get to watch this fight. This is going to be a bomb burner. Dud. And he'd looking at me like, I thought you said, well, I thought. Well, the bottom line is you don't predict and you don't tell the fighters how to fight or when they're going to fight or if they're going to fight. You don't know. You don't know how it's going to come out. You want to try to, think that these guys are going to come out great. You put on two great wrestlers and you're thinking there's going to be a great whatever, and that turned out to be dull as ever. Or you put on two great strikers and you're thinking, oh, my God, these guys are strikers. This is going to be a great fight. Well, sometimes these great strikers, they're hesitant. They don't want to strike because they don't want to get countered, or So it's just, and sometimes you put on the opposite. So you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a easy fight for this person. And it turns out to be a super hard fight. I mean, it's hard to predict. It's hard to predict and to know. What I'm saying is hard to predict and know. I'm not saying that you don't match them that way, but it's hard to predict how they're going to turn out. And if I'm not mistaken, the UFC, they just match you to match you. They're not looking to favor one particular person over another. If they maybe give you a decent, good fight for you to get on a lower level, they'll do that. But the guy, anything lower level in the UFC is top shelf. That's why you see a lot of upsets, because you're thinking you have an easy fight and go in thinking that way. See what happens. You end up, sometimes unbeaten fighters end up becoming beaten because they're overconfident, and you just can't have that. And you're in the top league, you better expect, no matter who it is, you got a top fighter you're going to fight.
No easy fights. Now you like the women's fight, Talia Santos versus Molly McCann. Was that a pretty good?
Yeah, it was a really good fight. Talia Santos, very talented, good everywhere. She's good everywhere. She expects something from her. Molly McCann was, pure guts and come out and did everything she could to try to win, and it just wasn't her night, but she's a good fighter herself, so it was a fun fight. It was a really good fun fight. Definitely entertaining, definitely worth watching, and definitely delivered, definitely delivered.
That's the thing. You hope a card is like an elevator. You keep going up. And it sounds like this, it stayed on course. You had Jimmy Rivera against Cody Stamann for a unanimous decision. And then Tim Elliott and Ryan Benoit, which you were mentioning you really liked that fight.
Well, no, I liked the Rivera fight versus Cody Stamann too. That was a very fun fight. I mean, it was no gimme on that. That was a back and forth. Rivera got him because he was faster and he threw in combinations, but that was a fun fight. I mean, Jimmy Rivera he's really fast. When he goes, and Stamann was no joke either. I mean, very entertaining fight. Very entertaining. That was a good fight.
That's nice that you're getting the good stuff. And then the Tim Elliott and Ryan Benoit, do you have anything special on that?
No, another entertaining fight, back and forth. I mean, Tim Elliott definitely, I thought, won the fight because he was a little bit more active. But it was entertaining, man. It caught your attention all the way through because Benoit kept trying to knock him out to the very end and kept trying to win. And there was a lot of ups and downs, down on the ground, up on top. They were going back and forth everywhere. And no, it was a very entertaining fight, very good fight.
Now on the headline, Calvin Kattar and Dan Ige. Did you expect it to go the way it did, or did it turn out differently? I mean, like you said, it's hard to predict anything. We can predict just for fun, but it's hard to be 100% Nostradamus on this stuff. It looked like Calvin had 4 out of 5 rounds, or at least 3.5, from what I looked at from the scoring.
Yeah, I they were very close rounds though. Dan was just a little short. The takedowns were tough for him. He shoot in, and man, Kattar would just stop him, man. Just bap, like that, just dead on, boom, stop him. So his punching was a little bit better, on point, but Dan, he kept trying the whole time through and trying to change it up, and he had some great moments, And this was no easy fight by any means, and they both learned a ton on this fight, both of those guys. And Dan will be back; he'll be stronger. He's a great kid. He got nothing to be ashamed of with the performance like that because he gave it his all. And it just wasn't enough in this particular day. And he'll get better and he'll come back. And the Kattar, he's going to go. He's probably one more fight, if not the next in line for a title. I would think he's pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. I would think Zabit, after
he fought Zabit, right? Didn't they fight him?
Yeah, Zabit's the only guy that beat him. Zabit beat him. But I would think Zabit would probably be in line ahead of all those guys for a title shot. I would think. I would hope that Zabit would get it. But I think that he's pretty close behind. But we'll see what happens between Max Holloway and Volkanowski because it's so bad on the decision making on the judging on that one that one particular betting site, if you put your money on Holloway, they gave you all your money back. They gave all your money back if you bet on Holloway. And if you bet Volkanowski, they paid you. Now, you tell me, when has that ever happened? When has a betting service give you your money back because the refs got it wrong?
Sounds like a good betting service. What betting service is that?
I don't know. I forgot the name, but yeah, they gave their money back, man. Unbelievable.
Ethical betting service. Really nice.
I guess, but it just goes to show you how hotly contested that decision was, and how it got so many people upset, but in all fairness, from my point of view, that third round, I'm sorry. I gave it to Max, but I could see how the champ got it. I could see it, but I didn't give it to him, but I could see it. But if you go by the criteria of how it's supposed to be judged, it's a Max Holloway round all the way. The way John McCarthy set the rules, the decision on how you judge a fight, it's his thing you're supposed to follow. Well, they didn't follow it because if they would have followed what he put on, then you would have voted for Max, and Max should have had that decision in the third round. So that should have been 3-2 the opposite direction. And it didn't happen that way. That's, what do you do? I don't think Max has really complained or said very much. He just, I think he's got the right attitude. He looks at himself, I'm still the champ. I don't care. I'm going to go out there and do my thing and get another shot and see what happens and improve. And he's only 28, so he's still got a lot of
He looked great in that fight. So did Volkanowski. I mean, I rewatched it again. And it was hard to watch it the second time because I'm looking at it critically. I'm not enjoying it the same way. And I'm like, yeah, man, look at this. He's getting, to me, if I had my clicker for points, it looked like he was racking it up. The only reason we're still talking about it, because that's one of the few, like we might say it after a fight in 24 hours, never talk about it again. This one kind of has lingered for 4 or 5 days at least, right?
Well, yeah, because people bring it up, and they bring it up in the sense because they felt that Max won. So many people felt that Max won, and I mean, I could see it that way if they're judging it according to John McCarthy's with the rules, then yeah, Max won hands down. If they're judging it that way, but I don't think they were, obviously, because he didn't win. So I think that they just went on what they felt, and and this is the champ, and you really got to beat the champ, and I don't think that third round he really beat the champ. I really don't. So if you go by that, the rule of thumb that a lot of these judges do, then yeah, I can see the third going to the champ.
Now I wonder, we get another, we get a UFC sandwich. We get like fight week. We had one on last Saturday. In the middle of the week, we got one on Wednesday. Now we get another one coming on Saturday. And it's Joseph Benavidez is fighting Figueiredo, and get Kevin Gastelum, Jack Hermanson, Mark Yakase versus Rafael Fiziev, and a few other people that I haven't heard of them too much, but I'm sure. Joseph Duffy's on here fighting Joe Alvarez. I think, was Joseph Duffy the one that beat Connor years ago? Is that the same?
Yeah, he was
guy?
Connor's only loss before, everything else. Yeah.
That's always an interesting thing when you see a guy that beat the champion, and it's kind of like the guy that fought DC years ago that was selling coffee, and they go, "Oh, he beat him years ago," and then he brought him in. The guy, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That was an interesting story. But yeah, this is it's going to be a great week of exciting fights. How's everything going? You still training with DC, just keeping it COVID away from the world?
Yeah, we're doing our thing. He's plugging away. He's anxious to finish, and hopefully, if everything works out correctly, he'll be the champ again, and we'll see what happens after that. I'm hoping he retires. I'm pretty sure he's going to, but we'll see. But definitely is looking good. Definitely on track to worst case, throw a great fight. Best case, throw a great fight, win the title again.
Yeah, and then knowing DC, I'm going to retire. I got to do it again. I just know him. That's my guess. It's hard.
It's hard for me to say yes or no on that. I'd like to say no, but Dana has a way of bringing out that big old bank account.
That's how it
Things
works.
things like that could change. And who knows, if Dana said, no, you should retire, then he won't be making any offers. And also, DC is one of the best commentators ever, and he's got a humongous career in the entertainment business. So basically, hey, he's on to another career. So to me, it's like, you've done enough here. Keep your sanity, keep your health, move on, do something else. I knew he had to do this trilogy. I knew he did, because, you can't let it go like that. But after the trilogy, what else can you say? You can't, I think he'll be done. No matter what, I think he'll be done. That's my guess.
He's a smart businessman. He's got himself set up. He has a very tight, balanced lifestyle, good family life. He's fine. And then plus he's got options. He's got the podcast, he's got TV. He's endless, man. He's good to go. Anyone else fighting? Anyone else coming up on Bellator or any other leagues here in the near time? From your
I don't really know. A lot of my guys are fighting. Tony Johnson fighting in Bellator. Ed Ruth, Kyle Crutchmer, Romero Cotton, Chuck Campbell, Salim. They're all fighting. I don't know what day, because Bellator's throwing an event starting, I believe, on the 24th. And they're doing weekly shows also, too. They're starting at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut.
mm-hmm.
So we'll see how many of the guys get on, and we'll go from there. But as far as I know, and John Fitch too. John Fitch is preparing to fight. So we'll see what happens. I don't know who's match yet. I usually never really know till last minute. Crazy Bob always takes forever to tell me sometimes.
Well, if we get any updates, we'll be sharing that with you, and we'll be talking about the next card. Thanks for coming on, Hav. Another wonderful podcast. Subscribe, everybody. I didn't leave yet. Subscribe. Thanks.